Welcome to Technado.
Welcome to another episode of Technado. I'm your host, Sophie Goodwin, here with the Bobsey twins.
That's right.
We've got somebody filling in for Don today. It's going to be a good episode. We're going to talk about Microsoft Build and, of course, get into some security news as well, as we always do. Like I said, filling in for Don because he's out this week is Mr. Wes Bryan. How are you, Wes?
I'm doing good. Can I come in here and talk a little bit about technology, if I can pronounce technology? We'll see. Speaking is a hard thing sometimes.
That's the prerequisite. You just have to be able to say technology, and you're solid. You're good.
All right.
And, of course, we have Daniel, who we found on the street this morning. Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
All right. You sound a little bit like a cat there. That was fun. So, yeah, Daniel's trying to set a new record for talking as little as possible this episode. So we'll see if he can do it. I'm looking forward to it. That means it's going to be the best
Maybe
episode.
we can get him to do like interpretive dance by the end.
Yeah. Make up some sign language.
I didn't bring my leotard.
Oh, man.
And the ribbons and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say the viewers probably thank you.
How'd I know? The listeners, on the other hand.
My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined.
Yeah.
So like I said, we are going to talk a little bit about some stuff that happened at Microsoft Build. It's going to be a little bit of a different format this week. That is going to be the first half of our show. We will be talking about some articles that go over some of the things that were announced. So this first article talks about Windows 11 getting a cloud-powered backup. It comes from Windows Central. Windows 11 is finally getting a cloud-powered backup and restore feature. And from what I understand here, this means that like if I go get a new PC, because this is my old one and maybe it's time to put it out to pasture, I can restore all the apps from my old PC instead of having to like reinstall each of them manually? Is that what that
That's
means?
what it sounds like. Sounds like you got OneDrive.
Okay.
That would be my thought.
This is the repackaging something that you can already do.
It kind of is, but it's the way they're handling it. It's more of the Microsoft Store and apps that are centered around Microsoft Store and some limited settings. Right? We don't have a fully baked. Restore all of our settings, back up all of our settings, but you can definitely back up the Microsoft apps. And some things that have been kind of limiting when they backed up the apps is the ability that I have more than one device. Well, what if I log into a new device for the first time? Are those apps there? And if they're not there, if anybody's ever had to reprovision a device, I have to download my device or my applications. I got to set up my settings, maybe set my background again. And this way, instead, you log into that device for the first time, you can actually restore everything back down from the cloud. It's a little bit different than OneDrive in the fact that it's just not files, which is really what files and settings.
What we would prefer.
Right. What we actually need. Now we have the Microsoft apps that we can reinstall and reprovision almost click button like.
And it's only Microsoft apps, right?
It's only Microsoft apps.
Oh,
That's
okay.
useful.
Yes,
I know
exactly.
I use a lot of those.
Yeah.
For the 10 people that are using them, it's going to be very, very productive.
This is a game changer for them.
Oh man,
Next to my Zune.
That's going to affect. It's going to affect like tens of people.
Yeah, I know.
So is this a security issue at all, Daniel? Like, do you trust Microsoft to store your backups that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a backup though. They're not like taking backups of your files, like Wes said. They're just saying, hey, we noticed that you had X, Y, and Z Microsoft apps that you installed from the Microsoft Store or O365 or whatever. You had those things installed before. You probably would want that back. You're just migrating from one PC to another. Somebody just hit the easy button for you. When you log in, there's all your stuff. When I say all your stuff, I mean the apps you would use to access all your stuff. Your stuff is not there. If you want that, you're going to need to bring that. It's BYO and stuff. Right? And then, yes, we are good. So they're not backing up your data. They're just backing up your apps, maybe even the settings. Does it go as far as the settings?
It looks like the Windows setup experience or the user experience for those applications.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, cool. That does make it a little bit easier to migrate from one computer to another. But ultimately, I mean, I would love to have like a full-on we store everything in the cloud now anyway.
Well, think about the way you do Carbonite.
Right.
You like on your phone, right?
Yeah.
That would take everything, right?
Right.
Applications and everything, almost like an image.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually used to do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would just take an image of the device and then, replace it or get a new one or whatever, and then roll that into like a virtual machine or whatever, and then it made it easier for migrations. So I would do that from time to time because I would stay within the same thing. I would just rebuy the same laptop because you just beat them or whatever, and they get broken.
Mm-hmm.
I was poor, so I just like, hey, you got a stack of those Dell 6500s? Cool, let me get another one.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, this sounds pretty similar to OneDrive. So I wonder, is there like a specific use case for this feature that they've announced? Which it sounds like they announced it at the last build last year.
So if you look, a lot of people have today, they have Office 365. And yes, we can go up to, Office 365 and we can download it. But you can also get those in the App Store today. You can get Teams. You can get a lot of the Office suite right out of the App Store. So from that aspect, end users, not power users. They probably find it kind of annoying. I think power users would find most of things they can't control annoying, but
hence the Windows operating system.
Yeah, I think my point in that is that from an enterprise standpoint, if you've got 100 new employees and they've already had settings before, and you need to roll out new Surface tablets, if you need to roll out Windows 10 or 11 enterprise, right, you can get those apps deployed very quickly, and if somebody turns around and logs from a workstation to their tablet, they can get that.
So don't they do that though with like it's like virtual desktops? Like, can't you? If I'm remembering, so right as I got out of being a Windows admin, we were rolling out basically dumb terminals, right? And then because you got people who get virus outbreaks or whatever XYZ. Or the machine just goes crazy, right? This happens, right? Things break and the machine stops working. Instead of we were like, what if we could get away from having an image with line of business applications, which this would not have, right? That would be nice. We set everything up with a virtual desktop experience. We give them all dumb terminals. They log in. If anything goes haywire, we go, cool, log out, log back in.
Right, non-persistent desktops.
You get a brand new desktop. All your data that's coming into it is stored on a file share. And it's just automatically hooking into that file share that you have access to through your permissions. And it was like, oh, this is actually kind of nice.
Sounds like that's a use case what they're using for Cloud PC.
Yeah.
Right, Cloud PC is almost like the VDI basic infrastructure. But what if you your company still has a physical device?
So
would that work?
We did, but we wanted to get away from that.
Oh, sure.
We were seeing would this be a solution to get away from physical devices other than the dumb machine?
You remember too, like back in the earlier days, when we all started doing this, where they had things like AppV, right? The AppV was an application virtualization across platforms.
Yeah,
man, was it clunky?
Yeah, I remember that.
There's nothing fun about
sucked.
that. Yeah, it was horrible. But we're seeing a lot of that, that's kind of baked into the back end of the Azure cloud experience, and they're just trying to tie it in. All roads lead to Rome, right? All roads lead to Azure and anything cloud.
Man, I'm so glad I don't work in Windows stuff anymore.
I love hearing you guys talk about stuff that happened before I was consciously aware of it. Like
yes.
it's like hearing a relative tell war stories. Like,
Back in my days,
like,
we had to go in the trench and fight with Windows drives.
Plug and play. Oh, that's for you kids.
You mean plug and pray?
Pray. That's exactly.
We're probably going to be experiencing a bit of that today, as far as just things that I'm going to be learning a lot today. I'm getting this feeling.
Break out your walkers and insure.
I'll be taking notes on my. I need a tablet or something so that I look like a true Gen Z. So this feature was announced last year at Build 2022, and this year at Build 2023 they were like, we're almost ready, so it's on the horizon.
Sounds like they're on the NASA release schedule. 10 years ago we announced it. 10 years to implement it.
We'll get around
to roll it out.
How long does it take to build a spaceship?
It could put a man on the moon.
Yeah.
So
in 10 years.
In 10 years, 10 years from now, hopefully. So I guess we'll see when it actually is available. People will hopefully start testing it out, and we'll see what this actually means and how much this really changes things. Kind of sounds like it's
absolutely, and ultimately it's going to be how much this seems more like for a home user environment, right? Because they talk about the Microsoft 365 store, and when you think about it from a organizational provisioning standard, that requires a Microsoft account. A Microsoft account is not, I can't say absolutes. I'm sitting next to this gentleman here. But you don't typically let people use an unmanaged Microsoft account in an enterprise environment anyways, right? Because I don't have any control over that. The limited control you have is you can apply a GPO that says either allow this or don't allow this. So I can't see somebody being able or allowed, and not saying that they wouldn't be, but unvetted applications being loaded back onto a new machine. And if they are going to be unvetted applications, it's probably not going to be an enterprise environment. That's just my first thought.
Oh, you're talking about an actual normal enterprise environment, because these people go, a lot of times, so from experience, worked in an enterprise environment, and the way it worked was that the employees actually purchased their own laptops, and we supported them, right? So it was a real fun, like before BYOD was called BYOD, it was really kind of that. So these, I work for an insurance company, so the agents would buy their laptops from us, right? And then we would support those laptops because we have all the hardware, we know exactly the configuration, and then they would call up and go, I want to be the administrator of this machine and install whatever I want. And we go, that's not a good idea. And they go, but it's mine. I own it. You can't tell me no. And we would go, you are right. Right? And they were administrators, and we would have to put out malware fires from time to time because they could install anything they wanted. Or and not even malware. They would just install rando crap.
Sure.
And you'd be like, this thing runs like a dog. And you would look, and they would have 75 toolbars.
Oh, man.
You're like, jeez, bro.
How many copies of Ask Jeeves can you have in one browser?
No, what was the wallpapers? They loved wallpapers, desktop wallpapers.
Or the WeatherBug.
WeatherBug, man. I can't tell you how many times I removed WeatherBug.
God.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well,
Before your phone just told you what the weather was, you had to install an app on your laptop.
Yeah, it's basically a virus. You know, people, you make a good point. People that believe that they own a device believe that they should have control. But
or the CEO goes, I cut your check. Put
right.
it on.
Right, yeah.
You go,
yeah,
hard to argue with that.
Give me admin rights.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the only thing they announced at Build 2023 this year. This next article comes to us from The Verge. Microsoft announces Windows Copilot, an AI personal assistant for Windows 11. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong, because I don't use personal assistants a whole lot. The AI stuff on browsers and operating systems and things like that. I thought they already had Cortana. So what is the difference? Is Cortana gone? Did she die?
I don't know. This is Wes.
Nope, she's still there.
So are they like
She can be disabled.
Are they tag teaming it now?
Yeah, well, like I told you, we've got backup to the cloud or OneDrive. Now we've got Copilot or Cortana 3.0. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah.
But Cortana's still there.
So Cortana, you say Cortana, if you got it, it cranks right up. Yeah. But Copilot is like, it is hooked into their AI.
It is.
Cortana's not like truly AI, right? Or is she?
She's more like a Siri.
No.
Yeah, kind of like Siri.
Yeah.
Okay. But
so it is interesting, though, because when you look at this Copilot assistant, basically what they're doing is what I'd say Microsoft does for a long time. They recoat an old technology with a new coat of paint, and they brand it something new. Well, this is a little bit different in the fact that what they're doing is a technology that they've already had in some of the different applications, including built-in, kind of baked into Edge as well, of being able to integrate things like ChatGPT and or just OpenAI. And now what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's integrate something that you've already been able to ask Bing in Edge about this, or ask in the Office apps about this. Let's go ahead and let's put it into the Windows operating system, and it's going to be a separate UI, separate application altogether, standalone application.
Yeah, I was looking at I had like a little video clip of them using it in the article, and it was, you would pull out Copilot and maybe open a Word document that you'd been working on for a presentation or whatever and go, hey, Copilot, summarize this for me.
Sure.
Right? So from what I was reading with the article, it wasn't like, it was like crazy, amazing power now that you have Copilot. It's just like, oh, I have another really good assistant. I don't have to go off into, ChatGPT or whatever to make this kind of thing happen. I can just kind of keep that open over to the side. And when I need to utilize AI to summarize things or make lists for me or whatever, it's there, it's waiting. You kind of fire it off and go, hey, what's this thing called? Copilot. Copilot. Do X, Y, or Z for me. And it goes, oh, okay, and spits out the output. Am I off on this or?
No.
Good article.
I really don't. I really don't think so. And one of the things that like you've kind of already said is that it can look at an article, it can turn around and rewrite it, summarize it, give you the output back.
Find all the dangling participles.
You hear, I feel like we've done several articles over the past however many weeks about different AI, like chatbots and things that are coming out, and AI assistants and stuff that different people are releasing. So, you know.
And you're sick of it?
The peanut gallery here, do we think that this is something that's here to stay? Do you think people will actually use this a lot and this will be a really useful tool for people, or do you think this is just kind of going to...
I think AI is here to stay. I think Windows or Microsoft changes products like football players change socks.
Never.
So we'll see.
They're lucky. They're lucky socks.
Flies are lucky.
Flies are lucky.
That's
right. That's right.
But who knows? You know, I mean, look at Yammer. What? Yammer? Oh, yeah, that's right. So,
Isn't it just still around in a way?
It is. It's built into the somehow built into the Office suite. But the point being is that it's another technology.
It is Teams.
Yeah.
Yammer became Teams.
Yeah.
Just quietly under when an identity changed. Didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like every time there is a headline with something about AI or AI bot or AI assistant or whatever in it, it's like, oh, people get excited about it. It seems like now. Or
we like to call those buzzwords.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the joke that I know you've made. We've talked about, you know, like, oh, this I didn't plagiarize this. It was done.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so they're calling Copilot a personal assistant, but Cortana was called a personal productivity assistant.
Oh, different.
Oh man,
Different
See,
species.
it's different. It's not the same.
As far as I've seen, there wasn't anything productive about her.
I mean, do you?
Proactive.
You're a Windows user, right, Wes?
Okay,
Do you
yeah.
use Cortana?
Mm-mm. No, the first thing I do is disable it.
When
Same, I
install
have no
Windows,
use
I'm
for
like,
it.
yes, I don't need this.
No, I have no use for it.
The only time I've ever used Cortana is on occasion I accidentally activate her, and then I just get irritated, and I'm like, "Shut up!" Because I wasn't intending to use it. It just will.
I would laugh if it was like, no, you shut up.
I remember when Cortana first came out, and we were at something. Maybe you were with me. I can't remember who was with me, and it was the Microsoft evangelist. We asked it to Cortana to ask if it was better than Siri, and it says that's like comparing apples to oranges. I don't want to brag, but what did it say? I think I'll end world hunger or something like that. So
it wasn't me. I wasn't.
Cortana had some sass to her.
Oh, yeah.
I was with Mike Rodder. That's who I was
Gotcha.
with. Yeah, I seen that. I was like, yeah, they're like, yeah, we put this in there as a little Easter egg.
Huh.
But I digress.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll tune in next week when they announce another AI assistant.
Yeah.
Some other random name that starts with a C.
Starts with a C. That's right. And
That's right.
It's called Cordova. And
Corky Romano. That's the name of their next
Corky
AI
Romano.
assistant. That's the next one they're going to come out with. So this next article, I just would like to preface this by saying I am 23 years old. Okay. This article comes from TechCrunch.
what month were you born in?
November.
What's your mom's maiden name?
Okay. You got me.
I got
you
one.
got me there.
I got
You me
one
there.
out of her. I know
thought
what
you were
year
gonna-
and month she was born in now.
I thought you were going to split hairs for a second
man.
and try to be like, well, technically you're not 23. You're
Yeah.
this many months.
You see, that's called social engineering.
No, he wasn't trying to split hairs. He's trying to split you from your money.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a link. Click on that, would you?
The reason I say that is because this article that comes from TechCrunch says 28 years later, Windows finally supports RAR files. Is that how it's pronounced? RAR? Rare?
Yep.
Okay. And it starts with, it's 1999 and my friends and I, blah, blah, blah. I was being born. So this is not,
Took her all year.
yeah, I was a little slow on the uptake.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of reference to like, oh, back in the 90s, I remember in 99 this was happening. So I kind of missed the boat on this one. Maybe one of you can speak to the importance or the relevance of Windows supporting these files finally. Possibly, maybe. Anyone?
Well, you don't have to go to a third party. I get, one of the things that, you could talk from maybe a Linux perspective. I mean, this hasn't been a problem. Like these archived and compressed files, they haven't been a problem for anything but Windows.
Right.
Right now, finally, I don't know why it took so long. I mean, these files came out. You have to understand. I mean, these files came out to compress files that weren't megs in size, but megs in size back in 1999 would take you a day and a half to load. So
I remember downloading Nintendo 64 games.
The ROMs
For them, and it would be like 20 megs, and it would literally take me like 5 hours.
Yeah, you'd walk away and come back.
You'd just be like, I guess I'll be back later.
So they had a lot of systems that were already supporting these, but a lot of those systems weren't as popular as Windows was in being,
Windows.
yeah,
They're just like double birds too.
Mhm,
I'm not
yeah.
supporting that. You can't make me. Plus, there was WinRAR, and WinRAR was the go-to tool for dealing with these files and working with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was freeware that barked at you a lot, going, "Hey, if you enjoy this product, please pay such and such the developers that work really hard on this." And we're like, "Bull crap, I'm poor."
I think Don paid for it, didn't he?
He probably
He did.
Did he pay for
Yeah,
it?
Don, he had a butler.
Yeah.
He did, even though he couldn't be here today, he did provide a little bit of his opinion, his input on this.
Well,
Did he really?
Yeah,
Said,
he paid for it. I like what this guy said. He goes, I've been saying no and seeing how fast I can open a RAR file for the last 30 years, so I don't have to pay for it.
I stopped using Windows as my main operating system probably around 99, 2000.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
That's when I was like, what's this Linux thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So were you a Slackware?
I used Slackware for quite some time.
Yeah.
That was my go-to. I started off on Red Hat because that's what somebody handed me, and I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
He's like, get it installed. I'll be impressed. Like an hour later, I'm like, what else you got, bruh?
Yeah.
He's like, okay.
See, I still seen a good explanation of Linux, Windows, and Mac, and it was just in a meme, right? The Mac was was a tricycle with nice little streamers coming off of it, and it said enjoy your training wheels.
Yeah.
Works really good, but enjoy your training wheels. The Windows machine was a GSXR motorcycle,
Gixxer.
and it said, has the
That's what
ability
they're
to be
called.
very powerful, but can also take you out in a heartbeat or something.
Oh, yeah.
Crash and burn in a heartbeat. And then it showed Linux, and it was the same GSXR in pieces. And it says, here's your operating system. Now.
Figure it out.
Build it.
Put your dream bike together.
So while you don't have some of the limitations, and you can do that in Linux, people in Windows were using Windows because they didn't care about what they needed to do to get an operating system running, so it became very popular. If I can pay somebody rather than having to figure it out, or if you can be like this guy and just click no for 30 years and still use the software, right? Don put it, made mention of something one time. I remember very early on with ever working with Don, I was working in a Windows machine. You and Don are Linux guys, so you know this. You realize that nothing happens by magic. I was brand new. I'm thinking, it's a driver. If I just had the drivers. He's like, nothing happens by magic. You can make it work.
Yeah.
You just have to figure it out. Well, I would say things like WinRAR are for people who didn't want to figure it out.
Don described it in his little note that he left for us. Developed by the Russians and used almost exclusively for distributing bootleg software. Is this true? I
said I was downloading ROMs.
I can't interpret his sarcasm through text, so I'm not sure.
Hopefully
if he's
there's a
kidding or not.
statute of limitations on pirating ROMs. That was, like I said, like in the 90s.
So the NES Corporation, he was saying theoretically and figuratively, any resemblance was just by mere chance.
That's true. That's true. I did it in Mexico.
Completely coincidental. Completely coincidental.
He wasn't getting ROMs, he was getting RONs.
Yeah, ROMs. Those N64 ROMs were amazing.
Just tune into Technado every week and hear us confess to crimes and give away our personal information. You can't find that anywhere else. So just to wrap up our little segment here that we've got on Microsoft Build for this week, we've got an article from Petri. It says, I think that's Petri, right? Yeah. Microsoft lets users boot Windows 11 devices straight into Windows 365 cloud PCs. So it's going to let users log directly into their cloud PCs at startup rather than the local install of Windows 11, right? So who benefits from this? Who is this for?
Well, Microsoft. You push the power, and they let you boot right into their bank account.
You push button.
So essentially what this is, and we're getting ready to do some endpoint administration, and this is more of the newer mindset of Microsoft with endpoint administration. If we can manage it in the cloud and we don't have to have the hands-on break-fix technician, and you can do it for a subscription-based service, well, then you can have your organization can have their PC managed basically on somebody else's network, all the benefits that we see of the cloud. And it's all subscription-based. I got it some here, give you an idea wherever I put that. So we were looking at it a little bit earlier, and I can't seem to find the article right here now.
We've
But
only got 6,000
Yeah.
tabs open.
I was going to say, to be fair, you've got a lot
Right,
going on
yeah.
over there.
so
2 hours later. I'm almost there. Give me just a second.
you said that 3 dunes
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
I've got nothing left. So yeah, it's just more of that modern endpoint administrator. That hey, you know, if to back to your point, you know, the VDI infrastructure of yesteryear that allowed you to control non-persistent or persistent if you had the infrastructure. Now you can just provision it in literally a click of a button inside of the Intune interface. I can say Dan gets Windows 11 enterprise license, and we're going to attach a Microsoft 365 license to it. Push button, you log in through a web browser, which any machine has, and now you have access to a full-blown desktop that's completely controlled by the administrators. And if they don't need it anymore, we don't have to worry about backups to the cloud or restoring your apps like we were talking about at the beginning of the segment. Back to Dan's point, push a button. Everything's reset. You log back in, non-persistent data. If you want persistent information, you connect it to its storage account on the back end. You have a function that pushes all their information over there. They log out. You want to, again, do you want it to be persistent across reboots, or do you want it to be refreshed every time?
Right.
So all at the end of the day for, you know, I think we were looking at like the smallest instance was $28 a month. And that is a 2 virtual CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. And I know people would be like, 64 gigs of storage, that's not a lot. Well, everything's in the cloud.
Right.
You're going to have a storage account, and you're going to use some of the things that we used to use on-prem in a cloud-based, you know, nature today, right? Folder redirection, you know, policies, administrative units. We can control things on the back end that way. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't have to have, you know, stacks and stacks. And I'm sure what you guys had to deal with back in the days when you were doing, you know, like deploying computers, you don't have to worry about, oh, now we've got all these computers. Where do we store them? Now we've got these computers that we have to sanitize, you know, so it eliminates a lot of that stuff.
Man, sanitizing is kind of fun, though.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, target. Everybody needs target practice.
Yeah. Like, so we had this big, like, it was basically like a hydraulic jack, like a car jack, but it was built with like an axe blade. And so you would put the drive in and you would,
Oh, man.
and just like cut right through it.
Really?
Just cut it right in half. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen some videos on data eradication,
Yeah.
it is great.
Oh, man, the shredders.
Oh, the shredders down to postage stamps, like literally just
You turn
full servers thrown in.
It turns it into confetti.
Yeah, postage stamp
Like
pieces
metal
of metal.
confetti. Yes.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And they go,
it's kind of badass.
yeah, when you're doing things like FIPS and stuff like that, like they will, like the stuff that you bring in will be boxed in like one of those car crushers, and you'll get it like a certificate of authenticity for destruction of your data.
Right.
Huh.
It's very important.
Oh, they don't mess around.
But you know, again, back to Office 365, we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Oh, man, I missed the days. So I think one of my first IT jobs, I worked for a hospital, and they were like, you know, we got a bunch of old drives we got to get rid of. And we're like, okay, how do we do that? And they're like, there's some hammers down in the loading dock. Get to work. And we're out there like Thor and Mjolnir, right? Just crushing these things. And it was like so cathartic and fun
I was gonna say people pay to do
to
that.
just,
now.
bash these things to bits.
It's an anger room.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, like a rage room. Yeah,
It's a rage room. That's
Yeah.
it.
that's crazy.
Yeah, one of the people that I was working with, or the students along with me when I was taking technical courses for the first time, had a friend that was in law enforcement, and they used to take him out and they'd hit him with target practice.
Yeah, that'll do the trick.
Like, you know, I still like thermite.
Thermite will do it.
Yeah.
Thermite.
Incineration.
Burns at like between 3,000 and 5,000 degrees. So it just literally melts everything into nothing.
Maybe I should get into data destruction. That's
It's a lot of
yeah.
fun.
sounds like fun.
Yeah. Well, you have a bad day at the office, Mo, you can let off
You
some.
just yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you can
No
take-
such thing as a bad
you
day at
take
the
a-
office.
No, I guess not.
Take a coffee can of thermite, stick it on top of like a car, the hood of a car, and light it, and it'll burn all the way through the engine block.
Huh.
Yeah.
You speak from experience.
I'm not saying.
Nope. Plausible
I
deniability.
thought we were confessing to crimes on this episode of Technado.
That has been done already.
Okay. Oh, you only get one. Okay.
Yeah. What's your crime?
You checked off the bingo
Yeah, you
card
haven't done
already.
that yet. What have you done?
My crime? Ignorance. That's my crime.
If only. If only.
Oh, the blissful nature of ignorance.
So I had kind of asked like what the use case would be for this, who would benefit from this, and they do mention in the article this would be a good solution for shared devices. So like you have a unique user identity, you go to your own personal secure cloud PC, you don't have to worry about it because you go there straight from booting up. So I guess that makes sense if you've got a shared device, but like here, like that's not something that we do. Like this is my PC, it's what I use when I come into work every day. Nobody else touches it. But if I was having to share it with somebody, yeah, that might be kind of useful. Might make me feel a little bit safer, a little better about having to share that device with somebody.
Yeah, it's just another option because they also have Windows kiosk mode deployment too that works much like kiosks too. So, it's just a different way but again, that's still a physical device.
That's
that
true.
kiosk mode versus what you're talking about, we could do all virtually and literally set them up on a little $100 Chromebook because the only thing they need is the web browser. Oh, I probably should say on a little Surface device with the Edge browser.
So lots of stuff that it sounds like that came out here this year at Microsoft Build. This was a conference that I was not familiar with, so kind of neat to hear all this.
It's really dumb. I don't know.
It's really dumb. Okay. Lots of reading
I said
required.
it's kind of like the
Yeah,
Apple, Apple's WW, what do they call it? Apple, the Worldwide Apple Conference. I think it's WWAC or something like that. It's Microsoft.
I really wish I cared.
Yeah. Dan was snoozing in the background. You didn't realize that.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, I fell asleep 5 seconds into this conference.
I've tried to tell. I'm very pragmatic when it comes to this stuff. Like, if it's not something I need to know about,
That's true.
I don't learn about it.
Well, you think about what we do. We're constantly stuffing our brains full of stuff that we do need to know. At a
Only
certain
got time.
point,
Yeah.
You only got so much room.
Why would you waste the brain real estate?
Yeah.
Now you start putting some things in, you got to start deleting others.
The older you get, the less storage
My body
space
starts
you got.
doing it for me.
Bro.
The real estate is not free.
Oh,
That's
So,
right.
those are some highlights out of Microsoft Build for this year. That is going to wrap up our first half of Technado. We will be back in just a few minutes with some security news. We're going to take a quick break. Some security news. We've got a couple articles. We're going to go into some segments. So hope you enjoyed this Microsoft Build summary that we did. And we'll be right back with more Technado. Tired of trying to schedule your team's time around in-person learning? Isn't it a bummer to spend thousands of dollars on travel for professional development? What if we said you can save money and time and still provide your team with the best training possible? The answer to your woes is live online training from ACI Learning. With live online training, we provide our top in-person courses in private, online, instructor-led formats. You get to provide professional development in a manner that fits today's expectations. Entertaining, convenient, and effective. Our exam-aligned courses inspire the full potential of your team. Visit virtual instructor-led training at ACI Learning for more info. Welcome back for the second half of Technado. We're going to be getting into some security news in the second half. We got a couple articles we're going to go into, and we'll start with a classic segment, a beloved segment called Do.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so, do.
I'm glad that got a dad chuckle out of Wes.
I was going to make fun of you, and then you nailed the dough.
Thank you.
I know, it did
And
pretty good.
Thank you.
I wasn't able to at that point.
Yeah. Watch your back, Daniel. Anyway, so this
I
article.
can't see my back.
Invest in a mirror.
Yeah.
Get
Oh,
yourself
great.
a
Now
rear
he's-
view mirror.
Now he's going to be in the corner spinning around for a half hour.
Trying to bite my elbow.
The dog having a seizure. That's great.
That's right.
So this article also comes to us from The Verge. It says Microsoft Surface Pro X cameras have stopped working for everyone. So I guess it wasn't immediately obvious what caused this issue, and I don't think Microsoft has officially said anything about it yet, but somebody...
Is it an issue? I mean, we don't have to go to Zoom meetings and stuff, right?
That's true.
Man, I'm
Is it an
sorry, the
issue?
camera just...
I can't help you.
Microsoft thing, man. What do you want me to do?
You'll just have to trust that I'm paying attention. So it wasn't, they haven't said anything officially, I don't think, about it, but somebody found a workaround where you can, I guess, go back to just the previous update or whatever, and that seems to fix it. So it sounds like the problem might be related to some kind of an expired certificate. Maybe that's like the hypothesis that people have right now. Thoughts?
It's definitely a
Concerns?
driver's issue, and usually when it's a driver's issue, if the driver itself isn't corrupted, it's the signature on the driver that might be causing an issue. But I don't know why. Honestly, just
What makes them think it's a certificate issue necessarily? Like
Right,
the
and how
drivers
would
can
the-
be corrupted in a multitude of different ways.
right. Just because the signature is not valid, it would trigger the UAC to say, "Hey, I can't recognize this."
Right.
Doesn't actually mean the code in it's bad.
Yeah.
So they're saying that it's affecting some of their ARM-based processors, which any of you know a lot of Surfaces are ARM based. So
All four of you.
right, all four of you. That's right. So the Qualcomm, which it's interesting because I've got this in my Android phone, the Qualcomm 8CXG or Gen 2, not G2, Gen 2, Gen 1 and Gen 2, and then Microsoft's flagship ARM processor. It looks like both generations, SQ1 and SQ2. Are being affected. I'm just pulling up another article that linked out to the Microsoft Health. I am at release status, and it looks like the article is Windows 11 22H2, even though we're looking for 23H2 to come out soon. So it looks like you're right. It says that they deployed a critical troubleshooter, but here's the interesting thing: you can't manually run this. From what it's saying, the workaround here. So let me quote the article. Microsoft is deploying a critical troubleshooter to mitigate the issue on most affected Windows devices. Troubleshooters are applied automatically and cannot be run manually. For more information about this, see a hyperlink. And it says to check if the troubleshooter has been applied, look for the following in the troubleshooter history. It says look for hardware and devices troubleshooter. Then another line that says automatically change system settings to fix a problem on your device. To mitigate these issues on managed devices where the troubleshooters are disabled by your organization, you have to allow them to enable the camera for this workaround to work.
Okay. See, if I had a Surface Pro X, I could just go test it myself, but I don't.
Right.
I have no plans to use one, so.
If you're listening, Don, for research purposes, you need Surface Pro X's.
Yes. Yes.
I'll expense it. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, I have no plans to use it. So I guess for me, this is not really relevant, but I think that most of the stuff isn't really relevant. Because we'll do Linux stuff, and because I don't run Linux, it's stuff that I need to know. And it's interesting to learn about, but it's not immediately applicable to my everyday life. So
Because you don't run it.
Because I don't run it.
You're running Windows.
Exactly. I am running
But now that Surface Pro, that's not a Surface Pro. Never mind.
So, this is not a Surface Pro. You are correct. What gave it away? This is not a Surface Pro.
The Lenovo Surface Pro.
So, yeah, the workaround that somebody found as far as rolling the date back to May 22nd, that makes the camera work again. But that causes a whole host of other issues. So is it really worth it just for a working camera? When you don't have a working camera, you can miss your Zoom meetings.
You have a legit reason to not go to Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Besides just, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because that's not legitimate.
Yeah. Or to go, if you get me some non-janky ARM-based Surface Pro, maybe you hook me up with, a Lenovo Surface Pro instead. That would be great.
This is really your fault.
Yeah.
This is really a you
problem. How do you not see this coming?
And this issue, this comes up in the middle of Microsoft Build, which I know we just spent 45 minutes talking about, so I won't.
It's been quite Microsoft-y today, hasn't
It's
it?
Microsoft. Yeah, it's been Microsoft today. A soft show today. But
Micro.
Yeah.
As in Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs.
Dirty Jobs. Okay. Yeah, it took me a second. I thought you were going to go the My Cocaine, that direction with it for a second, but you didn't. So this comes in the middle of Microsoft Build, so it'll be interesting to see if Microsoft addresses it, or I'm sure they will eventually, but if they say anything or what fix they offer, because I'm sure they wouldn't recommend just rolling back to a previous day, because it's not really secure, is it?
It can't be. I mean, obviously, if they have an update, those updates were meant to fix XYZ issues. They may or may not be security issues.
True.
But if you roll back, and then if we are talking about certificates, maybe the rollback has an older certificate. Now you're working with an expired certificate. That could be an issue, right? There's just a bunch of different weird ways. Ultimately, what Microsoft needs to do is get the heck on this. Have they released an update to their update yet? Have they fixed this problem? Do we know?
No, it hasn't. I'm looking at its site. It says they're just deploying the critical troubleshooter.
To go, oh man, this looks like it sucks for you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man.
Well,
I think I could tell by the fact that the dang camera wasn't working.
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons I never upgraded to a Pixel.
Yeah.
Because I took an upgrade way back in the Pixel 3. I took an upgrade and it broke my camera. And they said, yeah, we're aware of that, but there's nothing we can do. I said, okay, what I can do is go back to Samsung.
Yeah.
Now,
all
obviously,
their stuff does is explode.
Right. Yeah. It's a pocket warmer.
Yeah, that's right.
Keeps you warm on flights.
I saw a video of somebody that left their phone in their jeans or whatever, and they put it in a dryer at a laundromat. And it was like a bomb went off.
Oh, yeah. Blew the front of the washer right off.
Not only that, but the windows in the front of the blow them all out.
I didn't know that was a phone. I seen that come across.
I couldn't believe. I was like, wow.
I thought they had like
maybe it was a battery bank or something.
Or something. Yeah. Well, initially when I looked at it, I thought it was like somebody had like them smokeless vapes or something in their pocket, and it exploded.
Well, I mean, they all have batteries in them, right?
Yeah.
So something with a battery.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe. Like I used to make kind of fun of the fact that people were like, the notes are exploding or getting hot, starting fires, and I'm like, they probably just get really hot and burn you or whatever. Yeah, that's a big deal, but it's not
Right.
act like it should take a plane down. It absolutely very well may take a plane down. Like those things are crazy. I couldn't believe that video on how big the explosion was off of that thing. And if it was, I mean, they let you take a battery bank on the plane.
I had two of them on my
Yeah.
last flight to California.
Yeah. So there you go.
You got to be careful. It could take a plane down.
Yeah, you better watch out, man.
Drax them's clowns.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. 3D
Oh,
printer,
man,
baby.
I want to talk about them Terrys.
That's right. You're gonna Drax them.
That's all I'm going to be able to think about now the rest of the episode.
Thank
That's
you,
awesome.
Key and Peele, for your
You are welcome.
amazing.
Give them credit where
comedy.
credit's due.
Yeah.
So other than that, the troubleshooter that they deployed, this was an update from the Verge just last night, I think, that they released that said they fixed the Surface Pro X cameras, fixed them.
Yeah.
The image quality's crap basically until there's an actual real fix. But it's, for the time being, I guess it works if you happen to use a Surface Pro X and need your camera that badly.
According to this
There you go.
article, Microsoft says they cannot guarantee that these problems are solved.
Sweet.
We accept no responsibility. Stop asking us questions.
So,
Leave us alone.
would you like to buy a Surface Pro tablet for the low price of your data?
What month were you born in again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit more on the what I think is a little more entertaining. I love the articles that have to do with like a cybercrime, just because I think it's interesting.
Because you're a criminal.
'Cause
You're a closet criminal.
This-
You wish you could do crime, but the problem is it's illegal.
I don't have
Like that's the feeling I get from Sophie.
I don't have the mental fortitude, like the bravery and the courage to do it. That's what's missing. I totally have the smarts for it. Totally.
Well, I was gonna go with like the character. But yeah.
Oh no, dude, I'm a trash
No,
person.
see, like I said, you are a criminal that's too afraid to do crime.
I have a deep fear in my heart of authority.
Of prison.
So this next article has to do with that, and it's part of a segment that we call Behind Bars. And just to clarify, prison bars, not like a bar where they make you a Shirley Temple. So this article, they make me a Shirley Temple. That's what I get at the bar. So this article comes to us from the Register. It says, IT security analyst admits hijacking cyber attack to pocket ransom payments. So this dude didn't even launch the attack. It's not like he's the one that went to the effort to. He just was like, oh, this is already happening. Let me just see if I can slide my payment details in there. Maybe I can get some of that money that they're trying to. And he got nothing from it, I don't think.
He gets jail.
He gets jail. You're right.
Yeah.
What? That's the prize he got out
I
of
didn't
that
say
cereal
he got
box.
nothing. You tell me he walked out with nothing.
Yeah, that's what he gets for buying the generic cereal. He
That's
gets a crappy
right.
prize at the bottom of the box. He gets jail time.
Jail.
So he was a former IT security analyst at Oxford Biomedica and admitted 5 years after the fact to turning to the dark side by hijacking a cyber attack against his own company and trying to divert the ransom payments to himself and failing. He failed.
He was like, I've been trying to ransomware this place for forever. Finally, somebody else got to it. Now I'll just insert myself. Because that, like you said, that's exactly what he did. He was like, oh, we're under attack. Now seems like a good opportunity for me.
Slipstream yourself in.
Yeah. Instead of this Bitcoin wallet, why don't you send it to this Bitcoin wallet?
Yeah, clearly didn't work out for him. He waited for somebody else to do the hard part, and
Yeah.
then he decided he would just kind of slide it. And they listed like where he's from and stuff, and it's like the most British sounding name ever. He's of Letchworth Garden City in Hertfordshire, England, which to me, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm butchering that, so sorry if you're in the UK, but it just is funny. It's a very English sounding name to me. But he pleaded guilty, and he going to jail. He's going to face some hard time.
Isn't having a lech over there like not a good thing?
Lech.
Like where you're like
I don't know. Now I'm curious.
You are like leering at women is what leching is. If I'm not mistaken.
When I look it up, it says it's derogatory and informal.
Yeah.
It says lech definition, a lecher, which tells me nothing.
Nailed it, man. That really cleared things up, didn't it?
Redundancy.
And that
See,
tells
redundancy.
me. And then I click on that, and it says a lecherous man. Cool. Having or showing excess. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it, but
Yeah.
yes, you are correct. Just Google it. You have
And then
access.
Yeah, and that's what. And they're in Letchworth Garden.
They
What
are
the
in
heck is
Letchworth
going on
Garden
in this
City.
place?
Are they surprised that
Look
that's
at the
where
whole
this guy is
garden.
from?
It's Letchworth Garden, man. He is like, jeez.
They shouldn't be surprised that's where this guy's from, right? So the company was hacked. The security guy decided to take advantage of it. Creative, at the very least. I'll give him that. You
It's
know,
a crime of opportunity.
work smarter, not harder.
That's right.
This just is screaming Leo Getz all over it.
Whatever you need, Leo gets.
Getz, well, you think about it, right? He's already dealing with
Right, he was
criminals.
laundering money.
Yeah, and he's like, who's going to miss a few $1,000 here and
Apparently
there?
they did.
Apparently they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently they seen it too, and now
People,
this guy's going to
I
jail.
love the look on your face because she's like, I have no idea what this
Should I know who Leo Getz is?
It's from Lethal Weapon 2 and 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah, now you've got
Character was
homework.
introduced.
Joe Pesci.
It's
Okay.
Joe Pesci. Yeah.
Okay.
Homework.
Maybe I
Got
should watch
homework.
that.
You never go through the drive-through because you know why?
You know what they do in the drive-thru.
Yeah, I can't say what they do in the drive-through, but
They don't get it right. Let's
No,
just
yeah.
put it that way.
yeah, and you get to
Always.
suffer
That's right. Yeah.
You get
from
to
them
suffer.
not getting it right in the drive-through.
Yep. They suffer you at the
They
drive-thru.
suffer you at the drive-through
That's right.
every time.
I thought we were going to get through a whole episode without a reference to a movie that I didn't understand. And
Yes.
my hopes were dashed to
Leo
pieces.
Getz.
So
That's never going to happen.
I'll add it to the list. Yeah.
Hey, I don't usually get them in here between Dan and between Dawn as well. So very interesting.
Yeah. He's
There's a giant crow pecking
really?
at the He's just like,
you look. We're listening to this bird out there.
He just slid off the screen for a second. Dan had to go investigate.
What people
for
don't
us.
realize
Like,
is
what
that
is
there's
happening?
a mirror image on some of these windows, and the birds see themselves, and I think it's a
yeah.
Uses
yeah.
Let's
They're like,
fight.
oh, let's fight. Let's bring it on.
He wasn't.
wanna
No,
do
he's,
this?
he wasn't angry. He saw an attractive looking man. Thought he
Yeah.
would go up and say hi. That's all.
Hey.
He was like
Round
a
one.
good looking
Yeah,
guy.
Fight.
So Don provided some of his input on this one.
No
as
one
well.
cares.
He said, "Don, if you're watching, I cares." Okay. So Don said,
Hey, you got a little something.
"Okay,
Oh,
There. All right, grab
yeah,
that.
it's a little brown there.
Yeah.
it's the man pays me to be here." So
Pays me too. I tell him what's up.
So Don says it's kind of like a middle ground between scumbag ransomware attacker, like normal, and scumbag extortionist, which y'all talked about, I think, a few weeks ago in the Ubiquity incident. I don't think I was here for that one,
Yeah.
but there was a discussion about that apparently. So I'm hearing that crow is really going. He's
Very
going ham
angry.
out there. He is going hard.
Very angry.
We should invite him in, have him be a guest host on the show.
So, Crowman.
We're like 2 steps from an Alfred Hitchcock movie here. I don't know how this ends, but I don't know that I'll be coming back next week.
He's got friends. Oh, no. What happened to Wes? Well, you see, the crow is poking his eyes out right now.
There's a reason they call it a murder.
That's yes,
A
that is.
murder
Yeah,
of
that's right.
crows. That's right.
It's true. So like I said, he for years denied this, despite
2018.
there was evidence. Like they're like, you clearly did this, and then finally he cracked last week in court. It was like, okay,
It's like
maybe I did it.
There was a Kids in the Hall sketch one time where they're like, "So, Mr. Smith, it seems like you had murdered your coworker." And he's got like a coffee cup. He's like, "No, I didn't." Like, well, we have evidence right here. This is of you wrote a note that said I killed Bob, and he's like, "I didn't write that." It's just like, and the guy just keeps getting
he just keeps
very frustrated.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
got the wrong guy.
This video shows you.
They like
That's a different person.
The camera lies.
Yeah.
they figured out that the unauthorized he was accessing, I think, the emails of a board member like hundreds of times.
Yeah.
If he was smart, he would have said that's a deep fake. Right? This is all AI generated, man. You can't prove.
You can't prove anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hackers
It's the robots.
broke into it's a frame job.
They like swooped the property. They like seized all of his stuff, all his devices, and he tried to wipe the stuff, and obviously it didn't work. Still, it just seems like the evidence was piling against him, mounting up against him, and dude really held on for dear life to that. I'm not guilty. I didn't do it.
You see, there's this thing called prison. A lot of people don't want to go.
And if the ship is sinking, you will stay on that ship
Yeah.
as long as you can before you jump.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing.
See, I'm the kind of kid that like all my mom had to do was be like, "Well, I already know what happened. So you might as well just tell me." And
Fine,
that
I'll
would
just
be
tell you.
enough for me to like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I would immediately crack. I would immediately break. So you're right. I don't have what it takes to be a cyber criminal. So
definitely doesn't have the wherewithal. He would crack under pressure.
I would crack under the pressure.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I feel like you guys would probably do a little bit better in that field.
I don't know. You got to have some pretty good steel nerves when it comes to certain things that you encounter. And
Listen, when they get people to tell you that, yes, I murdered him, like, right? Somebody that actually killed somebody, and they're like, yeah, I did it. Those cops know how to get it out of you.
yes, they.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You might hold out longer, but they're still going to get you.
I've seen enough Law and Order. I know how this
That's
works.
right.
I'm kind of an expert. So this is not something that I've ever read an article on before. Like, I mean, I haven't been with the show that long. Have y'all ever covered something like this before where somebody was just kind of like, let me just sneak in here?
Not
and-
slipstreaming him in them.
Yeah.
It's been, the obvious ransomware. It hits this school or hits this county or
Insider threat,
Right.
normal, like, yeah, he's obviously an insider threat, but not like in this way. I've never seen anybody like piggyback on another attack like that.
Interesting.
They just launch their own attacks.
or a compromised account. It's
Yeah.
not actually the person.
I'm not saying
themselves
it's never
doing it.
happened or anything like that.
Right.
It's just I don't think we've covered it on the Technado.
Interesting. Yeah. So this is a new one for us. That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm part of a historic moment here.
It's a
And-
watershed.
It's and I gotta give him credit. It's creative. He's trying to work smarter, not harder. So if he's watching, creative. He's not watching because he's in prison.
Enjoy
but-
prison.
Enjoy prison. Orange is a good color for you.
Yeah. Do they
Not
do
worth-
orange over there? What are they doing?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to what
Let's
goes on
worth.
overseas. I don't pay attention to their criminal justice system.
I know all I know is the barristers get to wear those
This-
wigs. Right?
All I know is bobbies, I think.
Oh yeah.
They still call their cops bobbies.
Bobbies, yeah.
Okay, that's literally all I know. That's the only information that I have. So,
Did you say cops?
police officers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know why they call them cops?
No.
It's because their badge used to be made of copper.
Ah.
Hey, copper, you'll never catch
Never
me.
take me
Yeah,
alive,
yeah.
copper. Okay. I learned so much every week on this show, and half of it doesn't even have to do with technology. So
Who cares
I
about technology?
I consider that.
Let's just
the
call the random NATO.
It's just a tornado because it's just
Yeah.
a vortex
Yeah,
of terror
just
every
stuff.
time you tune in.
Rando NATO.
Ran NATO.
Well, Technado, not Tornado, Technado is sponsored by ACI Learning, the people behind IT Pro. So if you're listening from the Technado website, look for that sponsored by button. You can click that to go to the IT Pro website. And if you want to support the podcast, check out those courses. You can use the promo code Technado30, get a discount on your IT Pro membership. And that's our day job. So you might even see Wes and Daniel and I on some of those shows. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. You can also check out ACI Learning's live webinars and live on social events. If you missed last week's, myself and Jerry Ozier of Simply Cyber got to chat for a little bit. You can check that out on ACI Learning's YouTube channel. And there was one a week prior with Daniel Lowry and Naomi Buckwalter. Got to talk about some cybersecurity stuff, and that was pretty cool too. So if you miss any of those, just go to the YouTube channel. They will live there. You can watch them after the fact. And lastly, ACI Learning will have some folks heading to the NICE Conference and Expo in Seattle from June 5th to 7th. So that'll be next week. If you're in that area, stop by and say hey. They will be at booth 14. Talk to them about leveling up your cybersecurity training. I think that's pretty much all I got, unless there's anything I'm forgetting or any parting words of wisdom you wanna give to the people besides my personal information, Daniel.
No.
Great. So hard to find good help these days. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Technado. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.